Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon Perna, and my absolute best of the weekend from the NFL is Kylie Fitz kicking the ball out of Dion Lewis's hands on this kick return. That's a better kick than Dan Bailey had all damn day. It's also the best human-to-human NFL kick since Antonio Brown kicked the Browns punter. That's a bit of a tongue twister, as is my absolute worst. People trying to divide each other for no reason. The dude who posted this shot of Jalen Hurts' long-ass tongue on Twitter got lectured in the replies for joking that Hurts channeled his inner Gene Simmons instead of knowing that it was a reference to a black fraternity. When we see a long tongue, let the first thing we think be, damn, that person must be great at cunnilingus. Unity. Unity, my friends, not division. Best, worst. Week 14, NFL. Let's get sports. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thumbs the shit out of this video. Today's episode is sponsored by Manscaped.com/goodsports. It's December, which means it's time to start thinking about the holidays, or as I call them, the balladays, baby. Just like me, Christmas always seems to come early. So fellas, dudes, bros, men, guys, now is the time to start putting the performance package on your list of gifts you would like to receive this holiday season. When your lady sees the words performance package, she'll know it's a gift for both of you. The performance package includes the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer and the Lawnmower 3.0, the only below the belt pube trimmer to feature skin-safe technology to reduce nicks and cuts in that very special area. Asking for Manscaped products as stocking stuffers is much classier than stuffing your pants. So use my discount link below, manscaped.com/goodsports, which will have your stockings overstuffed with 2 free gifts, 20% off, and now free international shipping. Here's a best from my Broncos game. Corner Devontae Bosby pumping to infinity and beyond, which is the plot of a very disturbing Buzz Lightyear porn parody. And I can't believe Tim Allen lent his voice for that. Keeping things in the pelvic region, USC's signal for touchdowns is a best. I'm not sure why anyone would think a 5.5-inch pass is an effective football play, but apparently it worked here. Worst, losing a football game and a college football playoff spot because you threw someone's shoe 20 yards down the field.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Throwing the LSU player's shoe 20 yards down the field.
We hear the phrase Cinderella story a lot in sports, but considering that whole story is about a damn shoe, this might be the most fitting.
Turf toe and bunions.
And that's where we get the term, if the shoe fits. Vikings versus Bucs, best. Tom Brady throwing the football like a shoe all day. Thank you, Barry McCockiner, for editing this together to make my life a little bit easier today. Worst, this was the dumbest game of the weekend, maybe of the season. The Bucs gave up 100 yards on the ground for the first time since Jameis Winston was pissing away their wins. Hell, Kirk Cousins had 41 rushing yards in this game, and Minnesota lost because of the worst of worsts. Missing fucking all of the field goals. Dan Bailey had a historically bad day kicking. The kind of day that would make even Cody Parkey, Steven Gostkowski, and Scott Norwood sick. He shanked 3 field goals and an extra point. First guy to do that since 1961 when, kickers thought kicking without shoes, like LSU receivers, gave them an advantage. Titans versus Jaguars, best. This flea flicker by the Titans. Can we call one-handed catches AJs for a while now instead of Odells or OBJs? I'm sorry, Odell, but the patent on one-handers hasn't been renewed since 2014. But since it happened in a New York market, we have to pretend like it is one of the best one-handed grabs ever. But shit, it's not even the best one-handed grab in Giants history. Best, King Henry continues his unfair taxing of opposing defenses and had another 200-yard game. And trust me, we'll talk about him more later. Worst, the Jaguars are really going to go 1-15 and not even get the number 1 overall draft pick. Thanks to getting out-tanked by the Jets. At least they have James Robinson, who broke the rushing record for undrafted rookie running backs. Chiefs versus Dolphins. Best? Seeing what Patrick Mahomes would look like if Andy Reid hadn't drafted him, and if he didn't have some of the best offensive weapons in football. Patrick Mahomes lost 30 yards on this sack. Worst, Patrick Mahomes threw 3 picks in this game and still won, and took the top spot in the AFC. He strategically played his worst game on a day he knew the Dolphins were already without most of their running backs and would finish the game without basically any of their top ball catchers. Worst, after taking a 10-0 lead, the Dolphins gave up 28 unanswered points. Miami must have borrowed the Texans' game plan from the time they played the Chiefs in the playoffs. Tua even gave up as many points as his name is worth with a safety from the Chiefs. The Dolphins soiled the bed so badly, I thought it was a planner's box. And I couldn't even enjoy this amazing interception by Xavier Howard, who extended his pick streak to 5 straight games. Texans versus Bears, best. The Mahomes, Watson, Trubisky draft meme comparisons are now dead, after Mahomes threw 3 picks and Trubisky out-dueled Watson. I'm kidding, of course. Watson's 1 touchdown pass in this game was better than all 3 of Mitch Trubisky's combined. Worst, who the hell lets the Bears score 36 points on them? Who the hell lets a Bears running back break the century mark? Allen Robinson and David Montgomery combined for 278 yards of offense in this Texas-sized ass kicking. Best? Romeo Crennel using the sun to explain away this horrible drop by Jordan Akins.
The sun hits it right in that spot where the ball was, so I think he lost it in the sun. That's what I have to believe, because he's wide open.
Cardinals versus Giants. Worst, Daniel Jones' crippling fumble addiction was not cured during his week in the injury room. I'm sorry, but he'll probably have to go to rehab for this. Imagine One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but where all the orderlies are trying to slap a football out of his hands, which he has to carry around 24/7. Best, the Cardinals had 8 sacks in this win. More on that later, because half of them came from one player. DeAndre Hopkins also had 9 receptions for 136 yards, and the Giants dropped out of that first place death grip in the NFC East. Cowboys versus Bengals. Here's a best, Dallas. Aldon Smith scoring a defensive touchdown for the Cowboys. The Bengals running back Trayvon Williams ran right into his own lineman on the fumble. Kind of a metaphor for their last 2 seasons, and I'm sorry, Mark Sanchez, nothing will ever replace your butt fumble. There may be others like this one, but you did it so perfectly, you have a safe place in NFL history. Colts versus Raiders, best. Xavier Howard picked the wrong week to have the best one-handed interception I have ever seen, because Kenny did it more better than him against the Raiders. I have no idea how the ball just sticks to his hand like this. Even with the stickiest of gloves, that shit just bounces off of my palms. Because I was born with my mother's hands. Probably penis too. Best, Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, showing that there's always room for home improvement, even in a brand new stadium. I'm a 36-year-old man, and anytime I hear Jonathan Taylor, I will always think of a 13-year-old Jonathan Taylor Thomas. That's not creepy, right? This Taylor TD is great for multiple reasons. It screws the Raiders. Jacoby Brissett comes off the bench to be one of the first guys to celebrate with Taylor. Since Rivers has turf toe, I actually think Jacoby is a pinch hype man. And the third is you can hear Phillip Rivers yelling, "Come on, Jake!
Give it to Taylor, and the burst from Taylor, he's gonna break away! Taylor takes it in!"
Best, the Raiders fired defensive coordinator Paul Guenther because John Gruden and Mike Mayock are unable to look in a mirror. Jets, Seahawks, best? And we rarely give the Jets a best, but Marcus May completes the hat trick for amazing picks by defensive backs this weekend, preventing a touchdown here. Had May not made this play, Russell Wilson would have thrown 5 touchdowns in this game and won the Big Dick Player Award. Thank you, Marcus, and I hope the Jets trade you to a real team. Maybe Seattle? And you can join Jamal Adams, whose 8.5 sacks by a defensive back are now the most in NFL history. Crazy considering Adams didn't play a single snap in the month of October and he can get more. Packers vs. Lions best? Aaron Rodgers gaining even more ground in the MVP race. While Patrick Mahomes threw 3 picks, Rodgers tossed 3 touchdowns and ran for another against the Lions. The Pack are now 10-3 and they clinched the NFC North for the 2nd straight season. Best, Robert Tonyan blocked 3 guys on 1 single play. The Packers' offensive line better be worried because a single tight end is making their jobs obsolete. And that's why we need basic universal income. Falcons versus Chargers. Ooh, what a shit show. Best, Russell Gage shows off his cannon on this touchdown pass. I'm also glad the Falcons have finally found a viable replacement for the greatest pass-throwing receiver of all time in Mohamed Sanu. He and Julian Edelman are both 7 of 8 all time, but Sanu has 4 touchdown passes to Edelman's 2. Worst, the Chargers special teams, now coached by Anthony Lynn, have employed his imperfect ability to manage the clock. Lynn managed to mismanage the offense and special teams without any timeouts right before halftime, calling for a run on 3rd and 1, again without timeouts, and then not having the offense and kicking team ready to swap spots as the Chargers failed to get a field goal off before time expired. Worst, Matt Ryan and Justin Herbert traded 3 picks in the last 3 minutes of this game. The last one by Matt Ryan was bad enough that it gave the Chargers no choice but to win a close game. And now we finally know what happens when 2 talented teams who hate winning play each other. Football team versus 49ers. Best? Chase Young, baby. The potential defensive rookie of the year racked up 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. 1 of 2 defensive touchdowns that ended up being the difference in the football team's victory over the Arizona 49ers. Chase Young was a little quiet for part of the season, but he's been on fire recently and a huge reason the football team are in sole possession of first in the NFC East. Credit the Niners, though, for being able to lose this game even though their defense didn't give up a single touchdown. Saints versus Eagles. Oh, and it's our BenchwarmerBrew.com bench player of the game. This is my coffee brand, BenchwarmerBrew.com. If you want to buy it, buy it, buy it. The Saints haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in 56 games, and Miles Sanders picked up 82 on 1 carry. Hell, they doubled down and just allowed 2 100-yard rushers in this one game as Jalen Hurts had 106 yards on the ground. Each one of those yards taking a day off of Carson Wentz's life expectancy. So it's very fitting that our bench warmer performer of the week is Jalen Hurts in a game where he not only started a race war, but defeated Taysom Hill, the first man to ever win the illustrious honor. Steelers versus Bills. Best? Taron Johnson jumped one of the 200 short throws by Ben Roethlisberger and took it back to the house, swinging the momentum in a close game that turned into a blowout by the Bills. Just 47 rushing yards and 187 passing yards from the Steelers offense. And yes, their defense has a million injuries now, which is still less than the Broncos and 49ers. So suck it up, Pittsburgh. Best, Ray thinking he can hurdle as high as the McClouds, only to get upended on this kick return. Best, the Bills show out in 2 consecutive primetime games and are now the hottest bandwagon team in America. If that defense can continue to make dynamic plays like that pick 6 and the other interception by Levi Wallace, they are a real playoff threat. Worst? The Steelers disrespecting the sacred Bills logo by doing another one of their dumbass TikToks on it. Best? Watching them look like a terrible football team for 3 hours, and the Bills rising to the occasion as Josh Allen told them, "Buffalo all the way this time!" Looks like that might be some bad juju. Juju. And here we are, we've got the Big Dick Player Awards. God, I'm so happy I get to say this. Horse, cock, block had a runaway big dick performance in the Broncos' 32-27 defeat to the Carolina Panthers. With 3 missing offensive linemen and his starting tight end out and 2 corners tearing their ACL, Drew Lock threw 4 touchdowns against the Panthers, 2 in the red zone and 2 bombs to KJ Hamler. Almost more importantly, 0 interceptions. Russell Wilson was the only other QB to toss 4 tugs on Sunday, but even he had an interception. And if you're still not sold, Locke also had the highest passer rating at 149.5. Big dick running back? Okay, yeah, it's going to Derrick Henry. I could give it to Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, but I'd be lying to all of you if I said Derrick Henry isn't the BDP ball carrier of not just this week, but of the whole season. 200 yards and a pair of TDs against the Jags, and he's currently sitting at 1,532 yards on the season. That means if he can average 156 yards over the next 3 games, he will hit 2,000. And the BDP ball catcher goes to Stephon Diggs. Not his house, Stephon Diggs. The Steelers just could not cover him on Sunday night. Diggs was the first player to hit 100 receptions this season. 10 of them came against the Steelers last night. The Diggs trade between the Bills and the Vikings was a rare instance of a win-win. Bills get Diggs, Vikings get Justin Jefferson, and the Chiefs get the first seed. And defense? BDP? Holy shit, Haason Reddick had 5 sacks against the Giants. And not only did he have 5 sacks, he forced a fumble on 3 of them. He had never had a game in his life with more than 2 sacks, and all of a sudden the Giants just forgot to block him. Every pass rusher gets to pad their forced fumbles against Daniel Jones, soon to be in rehab. Buy it, buy it, buy it. Subscribe here on YouTube, or if you want more football action, click the video that's on the screen right now. Stick around, let's have a party.